Welcome to a bonus episode of Transform Your Workplace. Nicole Blevins, what's up?
I'm back. How are
You're
you?
back. I'm great. If people are watching this video, I'm casual. I got a hoodie on and it's Friday.
It's a Friday, casual Friday. I
No
like the
meeting
green,
Friday.
fall
We're wearing
colors,
green.
green. We're coordinated a little.
I love it. So we're going to do a fun bonus episode where I'm going to ask you anything. And some of
Oh,
us can be about you, some of us HR industry related stuff. So let's dive in. Have you
all
ever
right.
personally been through an interview process that just didn't hit the mark, like as an experience, like they didn't follow up, they like, it could be anything, but can you think back of any time where you just were like, it was a bad impression?
Yeah, quite a few. I think I, as well as probably a lot of people, have experienced the like not following up or never hearing back or sending emails to check in and follow up and just never getting a response, which is not fun. But also I've had experience, and I would say this is probably the worst, where the person just, I get into the interview and they're like going through a script, they're asking questions, and it's just very robotic.
Yeah.
Like they're not very personable, and I feel like uncomfortable because I'm trying to engage and connect with them, and I'm not getting it back, and I'm just like, this feels uncomfortable. Like interviewing is already uncomfortable as
Yeah.
it is. So it's just not being able to click or feel like you have a connection at all with the person, and they're just kind of very robotic, reading from a script and like on to the next one type of interview.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interviews that are robotic in nature
Yeah.
where you're just like, I'm just not feeling it.
Feeling
There's no
it.
body language. Usually, if people
Yeah.
hit it off, new
Yeah.
relationships or even current ones, usually you're reflecting each other's body language. You're mimicking behaviors. But if somebody's like reading through a script and they're just like looking down, that's going to be a hard one to get
Yeah.
through.
Definitely. I think so. So I always like when I'm talking to clients is you have your questions and you want to refer to that, but make eye contact with the person, engage with them. They're already nervous and try to make it a smooth experience.
Yep. What's an employee relations issue that comes up over and over again that just quite frankly baffles you because of just stupidity, or this is just like, why do people do what they do? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I would say what comes up a lot, and it's hard to fix, and I still don't understand like why, and we can talk more about that, is like when you just have two employees that are like on in the same department or on the same level or cross-functionally that are like not getting along. And so you've got one employee coming to their manager or HR like complaining about the other person, and the other person is doing the same, and it's two very different sides to the story, and you're like, if I could just get you two together to talk and you had both sides of the situation in the story and you like hashed it out,
Easy for you to
we
say
could
you're a
all move
mediator.
forward. Yeah, I do say that because I am a mediator and I'm finding it come up a lot more. But what's baffling to me about it, at least recently in some of the experiences I've had, is like when we suggest, let's just get together, let's talk about it, let's hash it out, they don't want to do that. They're like, no, I don't want to talk to this other person. I have no reason to talk to them. And when you try to talk through the benefits, they're just like, no, I'm not. I don't want to do that. And it's like, we can't force people to get along, right? We can't really force them. We can enforce our policies and stick to those types of things if anything is overlapping into that realm. But it's hard to get two people to just communicate and talk if they
Wow,
just
I don't
don't want
understand
to,
why.
which is,
It's
yeah, can
it's
be
like they don't want to
baffling.
put in the work, but yet it's
Yeah.
toxic. If you're on a team with people who just don't get along, it's very toxic and it's
Yeah.
noticeable. So it's like either
Yeah.
move somebody out or move both of them out or
Yeah. Or having to just
force
figure
them
out
to
ways.
figure it out.
Yeah. It's, you have to like dance around or try to find ways to solve it. That's not, let's just get to the root of the issue here. So
Right.
I always try, but it's hard.
Yeah. Humans are complex. Let's just put it that
Yeah.
way.
I know.
What are you working on right now that's exciting for you?
What am I working on right now? I have my SHRM CP, but I decided that I'm gonna go for the senior level exam this
It's
year
not
and take
wasn't
that
enough
at
for
the
you.
end of the year because I'm just a sucker for punishment. But it's actually been really interesting, like reading through the books and materials. I think when you're in HR for a long time, you think, oh, I know all this stuff. I've got this down by now. But I am really amazed at like reading through it and being like, oh, I didn't think about that. Or like technical terms and definitions and models for global HR and just learning new things in that capacity. So that's been a lot of fun. I thought it was going to be like a stressful process and I'm going to have to force myself to really read and go through this material, but I've enjoyed it. I've actually learned more than I thought I would going
I'm
through
not
the
surprised
process.
by you saying this because you are a lifelong learner. As long as I've
Yeah.
known you, you just love to learn. And
Yeah.
even if you think it's going to be dry, boring, hard to get through, you find the best in it because
Yeah.
when I always feel
Because
like
I'm looking for,
when you're curious
yeah.
and you open up your mind and you learn new things that you didn't think of before, it just, I don't know, it's empowering, it's
Yeah.
exciting. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's you to a T.
I am. I really am a lifelong learner. Everything, I'm always looking for what's the tidbit of information or something that I can learn. And so whenever you're looking for that actively, you definitely find it. So it's been really good.
What's something making its way into the HR industry that's innovating, whether it's tech or a new idea or a model of some sort?
I can't think of the technology name specifically, but I think you'll know what I'm talking about if I describe it. I've seen if you go to a business's website and the little helper pop-up comes on, it's like an AI that's like, how can we help you?
A
What
bot,
questions do you
yeah.
have? Like a bot. Yeah.
The Xenium website
I've
has that.
I know it does. I saw that. But I've been hearing about things like that for HR in terms of you put your policies or your programs into this system in this bot and it's able to answer quick questions. What's the policy on this? And how many days of bereavement do I have? And employees are able to like just get that answer instantly and really quick. And I think that's really cool. I'm a big proponent of like keeping the human in HR, right? But
100%.
I do think that it frees up HR to be more strategic and focus on larger things like engagement because being an HR professional like I know we get those quick questions coming fast and furious all the time clouding up our email when it's in the handbook on page
Yep.
32 just but we answer because that's what we're here to do. We're here to support. So I can see that being really impactful in freeing HR up to be more
Yep.
strategic thinkers and
I love that. I think it's great. There's this book I read years ago called Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell. It's like 1,000 pages, so it's a good
okay.
read. But there were some segments in there that I love because you were just touching on it in a practical sense. Is economic progress should happen if we can figure out ways to make highest and best use of something. Think of like real estate, blowing up a building and then building
Yeah.
single family homes, whatever it means. In this case, it's like you implement a technology because you're getting repeated questions over and over again that is not the highest and best use of highly
On
paid
your time.
HR
Yeah.
professionals. So you you insert a technology like that to answer repeated basic questions that a bot can do, and then you free up somebody like yourself for
Yeah.
complex issues, mediation, investigations, a model, organizational development, like
Yeah,
whatever it is.
stay
And so I love
interviews.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's a good example. And there's a lot of technology
yeah,
inserting into the HR industry. So it's the next 5 years, who knows what it looks like.
yeah. It's cool. I'm excited about it.
What, actually, I'm going to skip that question. What resources do you use to keep up on industry trends? Like HR, I feel like it's changing so often in our way of thinking and it just
Yeah,
models and whatever, like it's changing rapidly. So how do you keep up on all that stuff so that way you can consult with clients on it?
yeah. As we've already talked about, I'm a big nerd, lifelong learner. So like literally anything and everything I can get my hands on. But I would say primarily like I sign up for local law firm like legal updates so that I'm getting those different perspectives and updates when there's those changes. Um, I also attend a lot of networking events or webinars or sessions because I just love learning that and I love networking and connecting with other HR professionals because another organization or another HR professional might be doing something really cool and new and interesting that's working for them that I would never know about if I didn't meet them or connect with them about it. So I'm always looking for opportunities to do that. Reading books a lot of times, any book that I can get my hands on that people recommend to me. I'm just really soaking up as much of that as I can. I'm a member of SHRM, so I also pull a lot of information and resources from there. So I'm just literally anything and everything I can get my hands on, I do.
I'm a book nerd I need to ask you, what are you reading right now?
I'm actually reading The Science of Stuck right
Same.
now
Yeah.
because we're doing that for our Xenium book club. That's what I've been in the middle of. I haven't read too much else because I've been focused on the SHRM exam and like studying for that and reading those right now, but made a little exception for Science of Stuck for now.
What are you thinking about that book? Do you like it?
Yeah, so far it's really good. I'm not gonna give it away for anyone that wants to go and read it, and we'll definitely talk more about it in the book club. But I love learning like the science behind things, and
Yeah.
it's really interesting. So
One
I'm excited.
one thing, because I'm about halfway through it. One thing that stuck out to me. Everybody's gonna pull out something different from it, but this
Yeah,
one thing, I was like, "Duh!" It was talking about when we feel anxiety or we feel depressed. It's your body telling you something's off in your
yeah,
life. There's a lot of work to uncover what those triggers are,
yeah.
but I
Could be a
thought
lot
that
of
was a
different
big
things.
aha. It's like it doesn't have to be a constant state of
Yeah,
anxiety and depression and all that stuff. I'm not a scientist, so
yeah.
maybe there is a constant state of that, but if you don't experience that all the time, it doesn't have to be that way. It's just your body's it's just out of
Telling you
whack,
something needs to be
right?
fixed. Yeah, for sure.
What do you love about working remotely?
What do I love? Really, I love being able to like have lunch at home with my husband. As little as that sounds,
No.
is it's really nice. Like when being in the office, I'd have to bring like a sandwich or like a boring lunch or spend way too much money eating out all the time with everyone at work, which is also fun and nice to do. But it's been really nice just kind of being home and like when I'm taking my lunch break, I just have to walk to my kitchen and make something and be able to sit down and eat with
Yeah.
my husband has been really nice.
On that note of just lunch, I drove into the office the other day, and of course, I didn't plan to pack a lunch or anything. So I grabbed Starbucks. No, I already got Starbucks. So that's a routine for me. It's like my treat.
Yep,
So
yep.
probably $6 iced coffee is what I got. And then on the way to the office, I got Panera for lunch because I did not plan to probably. I'm like, if I
Yep.
did this every day, that's $16. What a
Go
waste of
broke.
money!
Yeah.
Just flushing money down the toilet. So that's yeah. We'll just consider that a treat because I don't go
Yeah.
to the office as much anymore. What do you hate
Yes.
about remote work?
I would say there is the tendency of blurring the lines between like work and home life. I will say at first, when I first started working remote, I struggled with that a lot where I would sit in front of my computer till 9 o'clock at night, even just because I'm like, well, I'm at home. I don't have to worry about like traffic or like trying to drive home. And I really just want to finish this couple things off. And then after I finish that, I'm like, well, I could just do this other thing and it's just like this ongoing cycle and it's hard like when you love HR and you love what you do because it's like interesting work and like I want to do it so I enjoy it but it can also be really exhausting if you're not super disciplined and like trying to set those boundaries for yourself and I've gotten better about it lately after we've been remote for a while. I've
Yeah,
figured things out and better about it now, but I would say that.
I'm going to piggyback on that. That's an interesting comment because I totally agree. The lines are blurred. It's easy to. So I'm just gonna do this real quick, but it's also easy to get in a flow state when you're working at home because you don't have the interruptions. So
Yeah,
let's say
right?
you're like, okay, I got a little bit more time. Let me just start on this project, and then all of a sudden you can get lost in it,
Yeah, you like
and you're
black
like,
out.
oh, it's like an hour or two later, and you're like, what
Yeah.
just happened? But I like it because
Yeah.
if you're in an environment with a lot of people, it's hard to get in that state often. So I don't know. I think
Yeah.
you just need a balance of both. Is
Totally.
what I think. What's a work day look like for you? You're a consultant, you work with a lot of clients. You've got team members that you interact with. What does it look like for you if there's a standard?
Yeah, I would say a typical day is I kind of has their own work habits and does things differently, but I usually start my day out by trying not to have any meetings straight away at 8 a.m. or first thing in the morning because I really want to use that time to go through my email inbox, prioritize any urgent items that there might be or anything that I still need to follow up on that I didn't get to yesterday. So I try to be really intentional about that. As we know, things come up and that's not always possible, but do try to start my day off by prioritizing so I know what do I need to accomplish by the end of the day. I always have my little notebook here that says keep calm and let HR take care of it, where I write my little to-do list and
Yeah.
prioritize my day and then prep for any meetings that I might have for that day. So if I've got a client meeting and there's been some recent compliance updates, I'll prepare an agenda for those meetings to make sure that we're making efficient use of my time and the client's time and getting all of their questions answered, and that I'm updating them on anything that might be relevant to their business or industry. So I would say that's like a typical smooth day, right? But of course, fires happen, and
Yeah.
no 2 days are the same, I would say, in a business partner's life and in what we do at Xenium, because there are different investigations or things that might pop up where you need to be flexible and move things around and shift priorities constantly.
Let's get to know Nicole Blevins a little bit more. You moved from Florida. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
You came to us. We're in Oregon. You came to
Mhm.
us. We're in a suburb of Portland. You moved
Yeah.
here, and then 6 months later, something, the pandemic happens. So then you're
Yeah.
like stuck in a house, and you're not getting to know people probably the way you wanted to.
Yeah.
But then you bought a farm. So what's up with that? Tell me more about the farm, why, and then what that
Yeah.
experience has been like.
Yeah, I did buy a farm. I would say my husband is originally from Tennessee.
Mm.
So he's always wanted to have his own little farm or his own little homestead and be more sustainable, and have a garden and grow food for us and have eggs and milk and things like that. So it was really, I would say, a dream of my husband's, and me being a supportive wife. I'm like, I'll wherever, as long as I've got a roof over my head, whatever you want to do, we can do this. And he works 100% remote, and he has even prior to COVID. And being in this situation as well, and Xenium offering a lot of flexibility where we're working a lot remote as well, but in the office a few days a week. So we were just in a good position to be able to do something like this and be able to be out more in nature and have property. And honestly, I will say I was super stressed about it, because it is a lot of work. We've got like an old house that we've got to fix up. We've got land that we need to like clear where there's dead trees, and we've got chickens now, and we've got a milk cow, and my husband's still wanting to get pigs and bees and all this stuff.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's a lot, but I will say I think it's actually helped me with my work-life balance, as weird as that sounds, because before I would probably just roll out of bed and like, all right, I'm sit in front of my computer and start my day. Now I have to actually like, get dressed and
Go
go
milk a
out
cow.
and milk the cow and collect the eggs and do some of
Yeah.
that stuff. And it's actually really relaxing, and it's like nice to like say good morning to the cow, and it's actually been really nice and not as stressful and overwhelming as I initially thought it would be. And plus we get fresh eggs and milk, and how am
Yeah.
I going to complain? So
I feel like there's this unique persona that you can now build online. It's like Nicole Blevins, HR
the HR
farmer.
farm lady.
Yeah, HR farm lady. And there's like a brand that you can create around that. There's something there. I don't know. I'm a brand
You'll have
guy,
to help
but
me with that, Mark.
that's
You'll
a
have to
little
help me.
outside of
Yeah.
my. So you're gonna have to figure that out one for yourself. But there's something there. This has been really fun. I appreciate you doing the Ask Me Anything, and I guess I'll be talking to you next month.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Brandon.
Thanks, Nicole.